FBI's art crime team, Tim Carpenter. Tim, it's good to have you, brother. I got to tell you, I am not impressed, man. I am not impressed by what I'm seeing. The security backs off because the guy holds a drill up to him?
Yeah. Listen, I loved your intro comparing it to the Thomas Crown Affair, one of my top all-time movies, of course, right? You might guess. But in that film, right, the guards had batons and they were really aggressive trying to stop the perpetrators from stealing the art. It's not what we saw in this case, right? But listen, in reality, art crime isn't the Thomas Crown Affair, right? These guys certainly didn't have that level of sophistication. You've said it yourself. They broke in with angle grinders. This wasn't exactly laser cutters and suction cups climbing up the side of the building, right? It was fairly lowbrow. But look, they spotted a vulnerability in this museum's perimeter and they exploited it. And so it's not terribly surprising.
But why during the day? Like, how do you get to that point, right? People do things at night for a reason.
Well, you know, that might be what you'd think on the face of it, but in reality, if we look historically at most major museum heists, and there are countless examples of this, thieves tend to target museums right at opening or right at closing. There's a couple of reasons for that, right? One, that's when the museum is most chaotic and most vulnerable, right? Staffing is just getting in place, shift changes, you've got visitors coming in, crowding galleries, it's a bit chaotic. But importantly, it's also when they turn off perimeter alarm systems, right? So you don't have perimeter alarms on generally when you have visitors inside. So clearly that's what the thieves were going for in this case.
Smart. Everybody on the government side says we're definitely going to catch these guys. The common person like me says, well, yeah, if they try to sell the jewelry, I guess that would be pretty noticeable. But, you know, a little bit of research will tell you that there are lots of ways to get rid of things without having to sell them as they are. What gives them such confidence?
Well, look, I think technology has improved vastly over the years, right? So there are a lot of things going in favor of the investigators on the ground there, right? So as you said at the beginning, these guys were good in one aspect, that they were fast and they had a good plan, but they were really quite poor on execution. They didn't do a great job, right? They left behind some evidence. And so that evidence is going to have forensic value to the investigators. They're clearly going to be scouring and canvassing CCTV footage, not only at the museum, but in the community as a whole, the entire city, the entire country, and even the borders they're going to be looking at for footage. And they're going to geofence, right? They're going to be looking at all the devices that were in the area, and they're going to build intelligence off of that. And you know, I dare say they're going to spend quite a bit of time looking at what was taking place inside the museum the morning of, the day before, the week before, the months before this heist occurred. These guys were clearly well informed. They knew right where to go, right when to go. And so that took some time and some preparation and planning, right? So I think the investigators are going to spend some time trying to suss all of that out. You mentioned the possibility of an insider. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's it. You're taking me right where I wanted to go. Go ahead.
The insider threat, clearly that's on everybody's mind today. I will tell you, historically, if you look at FBI statistics on this, they've been pretty standard for the last 30 or 40 years, right? Most museum heists have some insider threat component to it. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it was staff, like a guard or a docent or, you know, someone of that nature. It might well mean somebody that was a vendor, a contractor, maybe a maintenance person. But inevitably, there's usually somebody in a position of trust that is compromising that trust and giving up valuable details. And so I think they're going to look at that strongly in this case.
Well, Tim, I look forward to hearing the next chapter in this. And I got to tell you, there's very, very rarely that I get bad news. Look, if it were America, I'd feel differently about it. If it were something that mattered to us as people, the way this does to the French. But it's nice to like be able to have a little bit of a smile and be somewhat amused by bad news for a change. Tim Carpenter, thank you very much for your expertise. I look forward to the next chapter with you.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.